something to that real quick?
Sure.
I just want to say, because I think that what Priest is talking about is actually, to be honest, this is the first time I've really thought of it this way, but hearing you describe that situation, to me, lends more credence to those of us who would tend towards a belief in a conspiracy that what happened to Tupac and Biggie was not just a regular East Coast, West Coast beef. In that artists have known, I think for quite a long time, that a fraudulent competition helps everybody. And I tend to think, and I know, and I'll just say what I think Ishmael Reed said, that those who want to dismiss me as a conspiracy theory must then acknowledge themselves as a coincidence theorist. But I think that it just sounds so, because I think for a long time people have understood this. So when this whole thing of Tupac and Biggie getting blown up, of course, with help of the media into what it became, and then other things. Anyway, I just went. But what I really wanted to mention was that I think that there's a couple things I wanted to just add that I think help make things a little more clear. We have to be very clear again that we are still caught up in a power struggle between those who want to rule the world and those who are intended to be ruled. So how we see this play out, I think we need to understand a couple of things. I slightly disagree. What Marx and Engels and Kwame and Nkrumah and all these others tried to make clear about their analysis of capitalism was that it's not just about making money. Money is itself about, the reason they studied money was because they were studying the primary mode of social relationships in a society. In a capitalist society, money is that primary mode of interaction. So what they were really trying to isolate was how is money used to manipulate people's behavior. It is about social control, whether it's use of a church or not just of a religion or of a belief in the divine right of a king or a queen or whatever have you, or the divine right of a dollar. It is about manipulating people to make them do what you want to do. And the example I just use in the classroom very quickly is just that how many of you right now, if I said take off your clothes and run across campus, how many of you would do it? Of course, no hands go up. And then I say, well, if I pulled out a briefcase and here's tax-free $10,000, how many people would do it? And then you see people start looking at each other, they start laughing, they start, a couple people, And as the amounts go up, more hands go up. And then I say to the people who have held tight and say, I will not, do that no matter what the price is, I get them at least you started thinking about it. Like it starts to impact you. So then if you look at it that way, then you could say, well, now if we intentionally make people poor, and then we dangle at certain times the reward of finance in front of them, financial so-called success in front of them, we can make them do what we want them to do, which is why Lloyd Banks did say, I don't want to rhyme about politics because I don't want to get shot, which is a very political statement. So you just encourage them, well, if I want to be rich and famous, look at what everybody's doing who's rich and famous. They get rewarded for being the kinds of artists that they are, and if I want to do that too, then I can just mimic that, and then there you go. So the other thing is that I think needs to be demystified is this thing about corporations. What is a corporation? It really is just what even Robert Reich, what was he under Clinton, the Secretary of Treasury or something like that, even a regular Democratic, he's even called it Secretary of Labor, is that what it was? Something like he said in his latest book that a corporation is a legal fallacy. Legal fiction was his term. It's a legal fiction in that it doesn't exist beyond a piece of paper. What it is it gives anonymity to people who rule, which forces us to use the phrase they and be dismissed. Because if we start lining up the boards of directorates and the major stockholders and we start coming up with these lists, we'll be here all day. But the point is that it just protects the true minority, which is the elite white male, right? It allows them to exist in near anonymity behind the curtain of a corporation, and then even in the press it'll say GE said, or Exxon said, or Universal. Well, they can't say anything. It is a human being who is saying this and putting out a press release, or a collection of human beings who have a desire to rule. They have a politics, an ideology, a worldview, just like everybody in the room, and they want to rule. So that if they can make themselves disappear, and this was actually part of the expressed intention, after Rockefeller and Carnegie and Vanderbilt used to be so easily, the working person could say, oh, that Rockefeller. Now they just say, well, how can we don't want all that attention. So PR as a field comes out of that, right? Rockefeller hires Edward Bernays to say, Bernays says, I'll clean it up for you, man. I'll handle the press for you, right? And then it evolves into a point where they just recede into the background, and we don't even want to know. It's just like The Godfather and all that. You make too much noise, you're going to bring us all down. We don't even want to know. So they put Bush out there. They put, you know, to a certain extent, even Cheney out there. They put, you know, whoever else out there for us to fuss Condoleezza, whoever. And they say, right, and, you know, who had a Chevron tanker named after her, and Chevron was running the Nigerian military to kill Nigerians. I mean, it's just so crazy. And then, you know, but they can recede into the background because Chevron said, and then we don't know who to identify. So we have to demystify that. And again, just to mention real quick, that's why I think the Enough is Enough campaign that Reverend Coates is doing out in Clinton, Maryland is actually very important. I don't know if we agree entirely in terms of the deeper politics of it, but in terms of going after Deborah Lee, the CEO of BET, and going to her home and protesting what you are doing to our communities, it demystifies. So it's not just BET and some random, you know, unassociated, you know, whatever. It's a human being who is sitting behind, you know, a limited liability or some sort of, distancing document that allows them to disappear into the backgrounds while they run all of this for us to deal with. So I just wanted to make those